Good afternoon, everyone. It's Steve Lookner with Right Side Broadcasting coming to you with some breaking news from the UK. It has been announced by police officers in Wiltshire, by the police in Wiltshire, that the ex-Russian spy, the Russian double agent who was found unconscious on Sunday at a shopping center in Salisbury, it turns out that he was poisoned with a nerve agent, and the police are investigating this as a case of attempted murder. So what it looks like this may be is what we speculated when we heard this news a couple days ago, is that it looks like this might be a case of the Russian government going after one of its former spies in the UK, in England, and attempting to assassinate this person with a nerve agent. And also, the police said that a police officer who was a first responder to this incident is in serious condition now. So apparently a police officer who responded to the report of two people unconscious on Sunday at this shopping center, came in contact with this nerve agent. So it's pretty incredible. Back in 2006, the UK said, the British government said that Russia assassinated a former Russian KGB agent, Alexander Litvinenko. And that took place where they put lethal radioactive polonium-210 in his tea at a London hotel. And of course, the British government was very upset about that, because that puts not only is it assassinating somebody on British soil, but it's putting the British general public at risk. But it seems that we very well might have another case of that now, because this former Russian spy, a Russian double agent who was actually jailed in Russia years ago for treason, he was now living in England, and the police there, the local police, say that somebody tried to murder him with nerve agent on Sunday. This happened in England, supposedly in an area, in a public area. So he was found unconscious at a shopping center along with his daughter. So him and his daughter are in critical condition after having been poisoned with this nerve agent. And a police officer who is one of the first responders is now in serious condition. So this is, it's pretty stunning news. And by the way, YouTube did not send out a notification for this broadcast, so we have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but YouTube chooses to not notify them of our broadcasts frequently. So if you know of people who are interested in this story, or who might be interested in this story, please let them know that we are on the air covering the story live. So let's look at this story here, the one that Axios posted. Russian double agent poisoned with nerve agent. This agent. Oh, well, the first thing I want to show you is the announcement from the Wiltshire Police where this happened. I'm going to play you the first minute of this. This is where they talk about how this is a case of poisoning with a nerve agent, and they're treating it as attempted murder, and there is a police officer who's in serious condition. So let's listen to the first part of this announcement that was just posted recently by the Wiltshire Police in England.
Good afternoon. I'm Keir Pritchard, Temporary Chief Constable for Wiltshire Police. As you are aware, the Counter-Terrorism Policing Network are leading the investigation concerning a man and a woman who were taken seriously ill in Salisbury on Sunday. This has now been declared as a major incident involving attempted murder by the administration of a nerve agent. We continue to support our colleagues from the Counter-Terrorism Network as their investigation progresses. Both people remain in a critical condition, and our thoughts are still very much with their families during this difficult time. In addition to this, we can also confirm that a Wiltshire police officer who was part of the initial policing response is also in a serious condition and receiving intensive care. Our thoughts are also with him, with his family and with his friends. I recognise Colleagues in Wiltshire Police will be deeply affected by this and will provide all of the support to all those affected. We're also receiving support from other police forces through the National Police
So that's the
Coordination
big
Centre.
part of the announcement. Again, what he said is that this is being treated as a case of attempted murder. The former Russian spy and his daughter are in critical condition after having been poisoned with a nerve agent. This happened in England. Now, I'm waiting to hear what the government says. Could you imagine if, let's say the news came out that in Chicago, some guy who was living here, who used to be a Russian spy, got poisoned with a nerve agent in Chicago. You could imagine by a foreign government, supposedly, that at least would seem to be the prime suspect. Now, I can't confirm that, but that would be the prime suspect. Could you imagine just how freaked out people would be about that? That you had, if in America you had a foreign government possibly coming in and killing somebody with a nerve agent, and a police officer had also has now in serious condition. So this is what really happened in England. On Sunday, they found a guy in his 60s and his daughter. They were unconscious in a shopping center in Salisbury, England, and it turns out they'd been poisoned with a nerve agent. And it looks like the logical suspect would be the Russian government, because the guy was a Russian intelligence agent, but actually he was a double agent because he had been selling information to England. He had sold England the names of Russian secret agents, of Russian spies. Then in 2006, he'd been imprisoned in Russia for treason. And then in 2010, he was sent to England as part of a spy swap where 10 Russian spies were sent back to Russia, and four spies who the West wanted were released. I'll get you the information on that in a moment. I have some details about that spy swap. But he was sent to England as part of a spy swap after he'd been being paid by England to be a double agent. But now he's in critical condition, and he was poisoned by a nerve agent. This is terrible. So that seems pretty serious to me. And as I said before, back in 2006, the British government says that the Russian government assassinated a former KGB agent in London in a public hotel by putting radioactive polonium in his tea. So that was the one from 2006. It looks like we have another one now. All right, let me read this article to you from Axios. So you're watching Right Side Broadcasting's live coverage of this. I am Steve Lookner. We're going to take your comments on the air about this. Write to me with your comments if you have them at Lookner, at Lookner on Twitter. And also, I wanted to pull up, we're broadcasting on Periscope too, and I wanted to pull that up on the air just so I could see comments. Hang on one second. I forgot to do this before. The best way to reach me is through Twitter, because when comments pop up on Periscope and on YouTube, I don't see them often because they fly by. So the best place to reach me is on Twitter. All right, let me get to, and thank you to Pam C. is moderating, and Real Frank are moderating right now. Very much appreciated. So let me show you here this article from Axios. Scotland Yard says Russian double agent poisoned with nerve agent. That's in England. All right, So here's the story. This is what Axios is reporting today. Investigators now believe that a nerve agent was used to poison a former Russian double agent, Sergei Skripal, and his daughter in the English town of Salisbury on Sunday. Both victims remain in critical condition, as is a police officer who was on the scene. Now, they're saying the police officer is in critical condition. Anti-terror police are treating the case as attempted murder. Suspicion has naturally fallen on Russia. Vladimir Putin, himself a former intelligence officer, has vowed publicly that traitors will be killed, and the nature of the poison further indicates that a state may be responsible. Moscow denies involvement. Skripal was convicted in 2006 of betraying the identities of Russian intelligence agents working undercover in Europe to MI6, Britain's intelligence service. He had been living in the UK since being freed in a US-Russian prisoner swap in 2010. A number of Russians have previously died under suspicious circumstances in the UK. Russia's embassy in the UK released a statement Wednesday raising questions over UK government response to Skripal's illness. Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson has said the UK will respond robustly if the Russian government was involved. I'm sort of interested. Is this like now a huge story in England now? I would think it'd be gigantic. Let me check Daily Mail UK. So here's the Daily Mail. Why is this is the Daily Mail? I want UK. That's US. Here's the UK. Here we go. This is UK. Cop was poisoned too. So it is a big story in the UK, as you can see. You know, when this story first broke a couple days ago, the police were initially saying, well, we think maybe there was an overdose of fentanyl. But when the news, so that came out like Sunday, they found these two people unconscious in a shopping center, and the police said, well, it's probably fentanyl. And then on Monday, it came out that the guy was an ex-Russian spy who'd been sent to England in a trade, a spy trade. So when that came out, we covered this, and we were saying, and a lot of other people were saying, you know, look, we don't know if it's fentanyl because this seems like maybe a state assassination of this guy. But now the UK police are saying a nerve agent was used to poison this Russian spy and his daughter. There's another story I wanted to show you here from ABC. They have an interesting video. Ex-Russian spy and daughter exposed to nerve agent remain critically ill. Now they have this video here. Hang on a second. It says a former Russian spy and his daughter were exposed to nerve agent and remained critically ill after they were discovered unconscious in Salisbury, England. The daughter, 33, had been visiting her father, Sergei Skripal, on Sunday before the two fell suddenly ill. It's being treated as attempted murder. We read that already. Hundreds of detectives are working on examining footage from the area where the two were discovered. CCTV footage from a gym appeared to show the two heading for a small park in the center of Salisbury, yards away from the camera's location. Police were called after concerned members of the public reported that the two were unconscious on a park bench. Two witnesses say Sergei Skripal exhibited strange movements and appeared incoherent. A nearby Italian restaurant was seized by police on Monday night and remained closed on Tuesday. A local pub, the Bishop's Mill, was also shut down in connection with the incident. So I wonder, is it possible that this guy and his daughter went to this Italian restaurant and went to that pub, and now they're worried that the nerve agent was, slipped to them at one of those places? Now, this is weird because they have a shot here, and they say, this says video shows former Russian spy who was allegedly poisoned in his local shop. Oh, this is it's a misleading. I think what they mean to say is it shows the Russian spy who was allegedly poisoned visiting his local shop. It's poorly written because I don't think they mean that he was poisoned in the local shop. I think they mean the guy who was poisoned was visiting his local shop. But the way they wrote the caption, it's very poor. It makes it sound like he was poisoned in the shop, but that's not what this is saying. It's saying this is a shot of the guy visiting his local shop at some point. And I don't think I'm allowed to play you this video, but I can show you like a screen grab. That's him at a shop. I don't know when that is. Is it that day? It's sometime since I'm guessing it's it's saying 2/27. 2/27. So this would be about 10 days ago. No, 8 days. 8 days ago. So this is before the day he was poisoned. But that's him in his local shop. And that's him when he appeared in court in Moscow. Remember, he was arrested in Moscow and sent to jail for treason when he was working for the KGB. So this is really a crazy story. What it really looks like we have here, it really looks like, because he was poisoned with a nerve agent and random people don't walk around with nerve agents. So the suspicion is that a state did this, and certainly the Russians would have a reason to do this, since they have gone after. So as the Axios article said, where does it say here? I just saw it. Putin has vowed publicly that traitors will be killed, and he was jailed in Russia for treason, for selling the names of Russian secret agents to the British intelligence. A bit of an odd thing here, though, is now some people had written to me during our last broadcast and said, Steve, if they wanted to kill this guy, why wouldn't they just kill him when he was in Russian prison? Why would they let him go and then have to kill him in England? Now, one possibility I raised is, remember, he was sent to England as part of a spy swap. So he was used to get Russian spies back. So the thinking could have been, hey, we want to kill him, but why don't we use him as part of this spy swap first, and we'll get these spies back, and he'll help us get the spies back, and then after the spy swap is done, we'll kill him in the other country he's in. That's just a theory. Also, one other possibility I raised was that maybe he's been giving away more intelligence. I don't know. But there's certainly reasons we could think of that they would kill him in England, even though they didn't kill him while he was in jail in Russia. I want to check your comments for a second and see if you've written in. What do you think about this story? Give me a shout on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Chest Harrington says, am I the only one not terribly fussed about some traitor getting killed? Sucks about the first responder, of course. Well, look, Chest, regardless of the traitor being killed, a really big issue here is a foreign government going onto British soil and killing somebody who was a legal resident on their soil. That's problem one. Problem two is using a nerve agent, which is potentially fatal, I would think, to random members of the public. How would you feel if you're an American? How would you feel if a foreign government poisoned somebody in a restaurant in Chicago with a nerve agent? I would think if you're an American, you'd be like, I don't want foreign governments releasing nerve agents in the middle of the American public. Regardless of whether you have sympathy for them killing a traitor, doing it on foreign soil and doing it with the use of a nerve agent certainly, I think, would be worrying to people in that country. Benelux Supercars writes in, Russians poisoned is Putin's trademark. SoCal Boho Gal says, any known links between the spy and the Clintons? I know of no such links. Ryan says, if Russia did this, they did a very poor job. Now, I'm wondering why you're saying that, Ryan, because one thing I was wondering is, I think somebody asked during our last broadcast a couple days ago, why would they do this in public like this? But the thing is, this sends a message. So maybe they meant to do it publicly, and maybe they meant to have it found out that it was a nerve agent, and they weren't trying to conceal it, because this certainly could be seen as sending a message. If you're a Russian, if you work for the KGB and you were thinking of selling information to a foreign government, now you see this and you're like, whoa, even if I end up in another country like England, which you'd think would be one of the safest countries to be in, I'm not safe. The Russian government will find me and kill my daughter. So, or at least try to kill us. So I certainly could see this as sending a message that they want to be seen publicly. I'm not saying that's the case, but I could see it being the case. Jasmine Guthrie says, what is the motive behind the 2006 case in this one? Well, I don't know the motive in this case, but the apparent motive, you would think, if it's the Russian government, is that this guy was convicted of selling the names of Russian agents to the British government, and so he was jailed for treason, and, they've said that Putin has said he will kill traitors. So that would be the motive for killing him, in addition to sending a message to other possible traitors there. Now, in terms of the Litvinenko case, He is the one who was in 2006, the British government said he was killed by radioactive polonium in London by the Russian government. And you asked about the motive. That's a good question. I read about this years ago. Many theories about the Litvinenko poisoning circulated after his death. So there's a lot of questions. So an explanation put forward by the Russian government says maybe he was killed to embarrass Putin. Other theories included involvement of rogue FSB members or suggestions that Litvinenko was killed because of his research of certain Russian corporations or state officials, or as political intrigue to undermine President Putin. So according to this Wikipedia article, it's not exactly clear why Litvinenko was killed. I'm just trying to find a little more about this Litvinenko case in 2006. That's the one where they poisoned him with radioactive polonium in a hotel in his tea. And you can see here, so this is from the Mirror. And, the Mirror says, was Russian spy poisoned with polonium? It actually turns out it was nerve agents. This is from yesterday, but it says, chilling echoes of killing of former KGB agent Alexander Litvinenko. Let's see if this talks about Litvinenko. So there's Litvinenko when he was killed in 2006. And so Litvinenko was a Russian dissident, by the way. And he was a British citizen when he was killed, after he drank tea laced with radioactive polonium-210 at the Millennium Hotel. Garrett says, isn't it strange the spy used his real name? Wouldn't the British government grant him a new identity so we would never know? I don't know what name the spy was using, by the way. All I know is we know who the spy is, but I haven't seen any confirmation he was using his real name in England. Maybe he was, I'm not sure. David Fuchs said, giving him back, I think you mean killing him after giving him back, serves to show they can get to anyone and proved it. It is still terrorism, but also a reach of power. Could they do the same undetected to a world leader? Now, in terms of it being terrorism, I think of terrorism as violence against innocent people to make a political statement. If that's your definition of terrorism, this wouldn't count as terrorism. It's murder. Now, maybe you think it causes terror because it's releasing a nerve agent in a public place or a place where it might affect the public. But in terms of it being terrorism, I guess as I understand terrorism, it would count as terrorism. It's terrible. It's awful. It's murder, if according to the police. But I wouldn't classify that as terrorism in the sense of it doesn't seem, if it's a government assassinating a former spy for treason, to me, that wouldn't count under the typical definition of terrorism. Ryan writes in, when they killed Litvinenko, they only got him. This time, they got the spy, his daughter, and a random police officer. Surely, if it was Russian spies who killed him, they would be more careful. So you think that maybe they would only be trying to kill him and not his daughter and a police officer. Although the police officer, just got killed as a result of the nerve agent. It seems like. I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. One person might say, well, if they were more careful, no one else would have been killed or injured. But somebody else might say, well, by using this nerve agent, they're intending to frighten people in Russia who might consider being traitors. And it sends a statement that they can get away with this. So I don't know. And I don't know, maybe there's some benefit to using the nerve agent. Maybe, with the nerve agent they're doing, a benefit is that it takes a little while to start acting, and that allows the perpetrators to get away. Maybe the perpetrators left the country. Maybe this happened a few hours. Maybe it takes a few hours for the nerve agent to work, and that gave the people who carried out the person or people who carried this out several hours to leave the country. I'm not sure, but I'm just throwing theories out there. But it's a good question, Ryan. By the way, we are viewer supported here at Right Side Broadcasting. So if you like that we're covering the story, I'm guessing you're getting way more coverage on Right Side Broadcasting than on the mainstream media of this story today. If you like that we're doing this coverage, please consider donating, because your donations are what keeps us on the air. If you want to donate, go to the bottom of the YouTube chat, click on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And we apologize again to our YouTube subscribers that YouTube did not send you a notification for this broadcast. They do that all the time, and it's really upsetting. Thanks again to our moderators, Pam C., Real Frank, Lynn Jean, are all in the YouTube chat, and Common Sense and Gleno on the website. Appreciate it. And I will be posting, if I hear more news about this, I will certainly be posting later today on my Twitter. I cover breaking news all the time on my Twitter, so you can follow me there at Lookner, at Lookner. We got a donation from Trump 2020 who said, love you. I'm thinking he means the network. But thank you, Trump 2020. Really appreciate it. That's what allows us to stay on the air, is donations like that. So thank you so much. Nabi1 says, I live in Salisbury. They're not dead yet. Yes, we did not say they were dead yet. We said they were in critical condition. The ex-Russian spy and his daughter are in critical condition, and the police officer is in either serious condition or critical condition. Let me just see if there are any more updates on this story in the last few minutes. I sort of wanted to check the British press and see what they were saying on this too. So here's the Daily Mail story. You can see it's a big headline there. Nerve agent was used to poison Russian spy and his daughter. Anti-terror chief reveals pair were targeted, and a police officer who was first on the scene is also fighting for his life. Let's see what it says here. I'm just looking for new information. They were targeted with a deadly nerve substance in the middle of Salisbury town centre in Wiltshire. The police officer who found them slumped on a bench is now in very serious condition. They believe the people who became unwell were targeted specifically. That's Sergei Skripal and his daughter, who are both in critical condition now. This afternoon's press conference was held, and it also revealed that a fellow Russian exile said he met Skripal several times and claims he was still working and in regular contact with intelligence officers at the Russian embassy. Police still want to question a couple that was caught near the scene on closed-circuit TV who were initially believed to be Mr. Skripal and his 33-year-old daughter, but they weren't. The former spy and his daughter had enjoyed a risotto dinner at popular chain Zizzi's and had argued with staff over the bill before leaving. I can't imagine that argument had anything to do with the death, though. He was seen chatting and joking with a shopkeeper just days before he and his daughter were found catatonic in a park. Today, a large number of police, 3 fire engines, and at least 2 ambulances descended on the Sarum House office building next door to the restaurant where a woman in her 40s was taken from the office block and put in a waiting ambulance. I wonder if somebody else has become sick with this nerve agent. The chief medical officer said the incident posed a low risk to the public now in advance, that all of the sites the pair were known to have visited had been secured. So this is a shot of the man, the ex-Russian spy, at a local shop days before the incident happened. This is today, where it says police and emergency services suddenly took over an office building next to the Zizzies, where a former Russian double agent ate before he was found catatonic from suspected poisoning. Oh, here's a shot of the couple. It says, police still want to question a couple. Here, let me show you this. Police still want to question a couple that were caught near the scene on closed-circuit TV, who were initially believed to be the spy and his ex-Russian spy and his daughter, but they're not. So this couple was caught close to the scene on closed-circuit TV. Now, a Russian exile told Channel 4 News that he met Sergei Skripal several times and claims he was still working and not retired. Morozov felt the company Mr. Skripal was keeping was dangerous for any Russian exile and decided to keep clear of him. He said, if you have a military intelligence officer for Russia working in the Russian diplomatic service, living after retirement in the UK, working in cybersecurity, and every month going to the embassy to meet military intelligence officers, for me, being political refugee, it is either certain danger or, frankly speaking, I thought that this contact might not be very good for me because it can bring from questions from British officials. Now, it sounds like he's suggesting maybe this guy was still working with the Russian embassy. So is he suggesting maybe the British government had something to do with it? But I would think the British government could arrest the guy if they wanted to. So this guy, this Russian dissident, is saying he didn't believe Russian President Vladimir Putin was behind the Salisbury attack, adding, who is Skripal? He's nobody for Putin. But remember, this is somebody who is this person? Somebody who's from Russia. So I have no idea if this is a reliable source. Interesting, though. The investigation has triggered a diplomatic row and prompted crisis talks in Whitehall. But Home Secretary Amber Rudd said police must respond to evidence, not to rumor. See, I wonder if in a case like this, like the British government doesn't want to publicly cause a row with Russia, so even if they strongly think Russia did this, if there's no conclusive evidence they did it, they can say, well, we don't have conclusive evidence, so we're not going to create a big public thing about it. All right. Well, let me just get some more of your comments. If you have any comments on the story, write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Everyday American says transporting nerve agent from Russia is unrealistic. Could be directive by an in-house UK agency with access to chem agent. So the thing is, Everyday Americans, according to the UK government, back in 2006, the Russian agents killed a former Russian KGB agent. Is it Litvinenko? Hang on a second. I'll get you the name. Alexander Litvinenko. They killed him with polonium. So if they could get polonium into London in 2006, I don't see why they couldn't get nerve agent into Salisbury, England in 2018. David Fuchs says, I see it as a viable reach, using him as a guinea pig to release a nerve agent in a public place where people are goes beyond radioactive tea. See, you think this might be some kind of practice for something. I don't know, though. He is a former Russian spy, a double agent who'd been convicted of treason in Russia. All right, I think we're going to wrap up this stream right now because we are at 2 p.m. covering the White House press briefing, and I will be on the air after that for the post show. SoCal Boho Gal writes in, until these people investigate, it's all speculation. Yes, and we should repeat that nothing has been confirmed about the story in the sense of who did this or anything, but we do know that the police have said it was a nerve agent that poisoned this guy and his daughter who were found in England at a shopping center on Sunday. They are in critical condition. The police officer that found them is also in serious or critical condition. And it was a nerve agent that poisoned them. This has been being treated as attempted murder. And the guy was a former Russian double agent who had sold identities of Russian agents to the British intelligence in the past. So we will keep following this story, this kind of crazy story out of England. I will be posting on my Twitter about it. @Lookner is where you can follow me on Twitter for breaking news coverage, @Lookner. Be sure to subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube. Click the notifications bell. Hopefully you'll get a notification. You probably didn't for this one, though. Facebook, Right Side Broadcasting. Twitter @RSB Network. And on Periscope, RSBN TV. And we really appreciate your donations. We rely on you to stay on the air. We are an independent, very small network. We rely on viewer donations to stay on the air. So if you like this coverage, if you like that we're spending a lot of time covering this, unlike the mainstream media will talk about Trump 24 hours a day and give hardly any if or no coverage to a story like this, which I think is very important. So if you like that we're covering this, you can give us a donation by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat. Click on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. Thanks to our moderators who moderated in the chat room, and everybody. Thanks to everybody for sending in your comments and letting me read them. And that's going to wrap this up. So we will be back on the air in about 10 minutes with the White House press briefing, and I will be coming on the air after that for the post show. But for now, I am Steve Lookner for Right Side Broadcasting. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we will see you soon with more news here at Right Side Broadcasting. Have a good day.